Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Yesterday, it was the ex-wife, the ex-girlfriend, the gun store employee that sold Hunter Biden the gun. What did we learn today, though, on day number 4?
The star witness today was Hallie Biden, who was Beau Biden's ex-wife, I guess. Well, after he passed away, she was his widow. Hunter Biden had a romantic relationship with her. They both used drugs, and she essentially took the weapon that was purchased in this case and hid it from police, basically threw it away. Got it from a secured location with Hunter. Hunter called the police about it, and the prosecution is kind of going into that whole chapter today, calling several other follow-up witnesses along with it, along with some police officers who took the report. Cocaine residue was found on the weapon, and there was a bit of a tense cross-examination with attorney Abby Lowell and her. So that's kind of where we are today. But I do think, from what I understand, the prosecution, if they don't rest their case today, it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, it's been a very quick trial with the witnesses kind of coming and going from the stand. And let's talk about that. The new testimony today coming down about being introduced to drugs. How big of a detail is that in this trial?
It's an important one. I mean, the main issue here is his addiction. So a lot of what we're hearing today is a bit of a sidetrack, talking about the weapon, where the weapon was found. The fact is, I don't even know that there needs to be a weapon in this case, right? The issue is whether or not, when Hunter Biden signed that form, that he was lying on a federal form. That's the issue. So even if he was not ultimately issued a weapon, I don't know that that would be particularly relevant. They're going down the case, a bit of a rabbit trail, but it all feeds to the same place, right? There was an addiction here, and they're just not going to let him deny the fact that he was addicted. The defense attorney, Abby Lowell, when crossing Hallie Biden, basically sort of insinuating that, well, when Hunter was asking for help, he didn't know if that was help from alcohol addiction or anything else. Also, in the 12 or 10 days that were between when Hunter Biden was in that rehab and the date of the firearm purchase, asked her some specific questions about, did you see him use in that time frame? So they were trying to, the defense team trying to sort of keep their hopes alive, keep that one little path, that one little lane of those 12 days of sobriety, trying to keep that, trying to keep that path to an acquittal sort of sustained there. So that's kind of what we saw in that part of it.
Yeah, just a slim little window that they're looking to try to thread there for the defense, talking about this. And we've talked about it before, the verbiage of that, and they got into that with the store employee that sold him the gun, saying some of these questions were in past tense, some of these were in current tense. Do you think that landed at all?
We'll find out. I mean, look, this is a case where if you were Hunter Biden and you're his defense team, I don't like using the word jury nullification, but it's close. Jury nullification is basically where you are telling the jury to override the judge's instructions through their emotions. You're not really doing that here. What you're arguing is you're saying, look, this Hunter Biden was lying to himself. He wasn't lying to the government. He really thought in his own twisted mind, his own addicted mind, that he was not an addict. A jury's only going to go for that if they really, really like you. And if they really like Hunter Biden, and they may like him because his family is there. They may like him because he has owned, for the most part, this addiction. And they may resent the prosecution kind of running up the score on them. So it's definitely a very emotional defense. And as long as you can preserve that alley towards an acquittal, then you might be able to get there. In this instance, probably not. I think we'd all be surprised to see an acquittal in this case. But, I mean, if you're defending the case, you got to do it somehow.
Yeah, the effort is there to try to prove this case as well. And you mentioned that the prosecution may rest today or early tomorrow as well. What do we expect to see from the defense, if anything?
The defense may call an expert witness, may call somebody talking about addiction, right? And when you talk about addiction, and those who have loved ones who've been afflicted with addiction in the past, or who know how addicted folks think and how they act, basically talk about the fact that an addict has just obviously zero ability to self-assess, zero objectivity when it comes to their own well-being. I mean, people have a hard enough time being objective as it is. If you're talking to a group of potential jurors, you can ask the question, who here thinks you're a better than average driver, right? You're going to get more than 50% of hands every single time. Even the people that don't have these issues have a poor time assessing themselves. You take somebody with a drug or alcohol addiction, somebody who drinks all day, every day, and you ask them if they're an alcoholic, they'll say no, and chances are they actually believe it. So I think we may see a specialist to talk about that. I don't expect to see Hunter Biden take the witness stand. He's got too much to lose with some of his other issues and entanglements. And we'll see what other folks that they put up there. But really what I'm thinking of are expert witnesses to talk about that really soft science, if you will, of addiction and recovery.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Hunter Biden potentially won't take the stand, and that's his right. He does not have to take the stand in his own defense there as well. But you mentioned earlier in our interview about potentially the prosecution running up the score. Maybe is there a reverse of that kind of terminology to try to maybe lessen some of those impacts of what we've heard already in this case?
If I'm the prosecutor, what I'm doing is a couple things, right? I don't necessarily want to run up the score, and I don't want to embarrass the Bidens for the reason that could very well turn the jury off. At the same time, you've got to make the crime dangerous. You've got to make the gun dangerous. You've got to make the offense dangerous. Why do we have this law in the first place? Well, we have this law in the first place because we don't want people addicted to drugs. We don't want crack addicts running around with guns, with weapons, right? And I think any person who is a responsible gun owner would tell you that that's a big no-no, right? That they take a lot of pride in safety, in following the rules, in all those protocols. So you have to basically show the jury that, look, this weapon was not bought for self-defense. This weapon was purchased with protecting yourself from in your drug deals. That's why this weapon was purchased, and it's the exact type of weapon that we want off the street. So that's the type of angle that the prosecution can really use to sort of negate a lot of that other jury nullification, to negate some of that emotion that you might feel and that compassion you might feel for Hunter Biden because he's an addict who is owning his addiction. That's all fine and well, but again, this law exists for a reason. That's the prosecution's job.
All right, that makes a good point. I want to ask you my last question here, just to talk about it, because you mentioned the laws are on the books as they are, and if a juror has an opinion that maybe that law isn't just, isn't right, they don't agree with it, they have to follow the letter of the law, and maybe how much is that stamped down by the judge?
Right. We talked about that in the Donald Trump trial. That comes down to the jury charge. The judge is going to give the jury the distilled charge, which will say, you're going to follow this law. You promised me before you even took an oath. You promised me, you promised the U.S. government, the prosecutors in this case, and you promised the defense that you would follow the law as I give it to you. And now that that's the case, the judge is going to give the jury charge to the jury. The jury ought to be able to take it back in this case, unlike in the Trump case. And the jury will be told, look, this is the law, and if you don't follow it, then you're basically breaking the law, right?
Yeah.
That's when the jury takes the oath, and before they even take before they even get in the jury box, they're asked 6 ways till Sunday, will you follow the law? None of them would be here if they didn't answer yes to those questions.
All right, very, very good. Well, we'll see if the prosecution rests today or a little bit later, as we are quickly wrapping up this trial there around Hunter Biden as well. All right, Jeremy, thank you again for joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Have a great day.